Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instructions on completing the task at hand. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you and showing you how I replaced this rear quarter window. Not a window you want to pay somebody to do. My guess would be that if you can get a window new, you'd probably be looking anywhere from $500 to $700. Stationary windows are the worst ones to break. If you have to break one of your own windows to get into the car for any reason, you want to take out a window that goes up and down. Stationary windows are way more expensive to replace. Now, this window is replaced similar like a windshield. You have to cut it out or cut out the fragments of the old one, and then you have to get window weld or windshield sealant to glue in the replacement glass. There are a number of reasons why you might need to replace this. Mine, unfortunately, was self-inflicted. I stored something in the back of the car. It was as high as the glass, middle of the glass. I got in the car. I had something blocking my view from seeing that car battery sitting high on top of a box. I went around a corner a little faster than normal. The battery slid, busted through the glass onto the ground, left a big hole in my window, so I had to replace it. A couple of basic things that's good to know is this piece of trim here that matches the color of the car is removable. It has two T15 screws on the front of it here, one there, one there. It's got clips that lock it in here, two on the forward edge, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top edge. If you're removing and installing that piece of trim from a window that's had that trim in it before, it's easy to put in and out. These clips have little tabs on this trim that go under the clips. So you slide that thing channel. They're stair-stepped. This one starts to lock in first, then this one, then this one, then this one. And then the front two lock in. However, if you're replacing the window with a used one, that may not fit as well. So if you're going to be taking that piece of trim off, putting that piece of trim back on, which is easier to do when removing the glass, you want to get some soapy spray water and maybe a 6-inch piece of wood that you could tap on to try to get that thing tucked in the seal so that when you slide it back into the channels, all of the channels slide in, or you may have to persuade them a little bit. So you may need to tap them in or get this forced in somehow. I tucked the top in and then beat the bottom, tried to tuck the bottom in. But like I said, soapy water would probably help that. I actually think this one's in. This one may have missed the bottom. This one may have actually missed top and bottom, even though I thought I had it caught. And then this one is definitely in. So I'm probably going to get some soapy water and redo that in the future. Now, it's a hard job. I'd rate it a 5. I've done 3 or 4 of them, 3 or 4 different ways. You could do it either way that works for you. The way with my little cutting tool was probably the easiest. That with some piano string wire. Use a tool similar to this at the glass pulling place. Of course, their blade comes out the tip. It's a little thinner. They use 2 hands to cut the seal. If you're going to the junkyard to pull one of these windows from a donor car, what I recommend you do, if you have a multiple choice, go to the car, take a penknife, and see how pliable this seal is. If this seal is relatively hard and stiff, you want to find one that is softer. The softer this seal is, the better chance you have of working with it, getting it to go in good without damaging the seal. When I removed this one, my cutting tool cut a little bit of that seal. You really can't see it, but nonetheless, if you could get a softer seal, that would be better. This one seems to be fine. All of them will probably be fine. A softer one would be better. If you want, you could chisel that thing out with the molding in there. However, I really don't recommend it. It is an easier job, especially going back in, if you remove all of that trim paneling from the car. That way, you have a lot of room. You can see what's going on. You can check in the crevices with the light, make sure you don't have any leaking points when you put it in. I actually did. I had to reseal the front edge and up near the top, halfway down the glass, because of the way the seal in this molding piece on the front is made. It didn't sit as close to the car as I thought it would. So I had to add more caulking, maybe from here up to here. So most of this bead that I put around there was about that high, maybe 3/8 of an inch high. But up here, I had to go 5/8 of an inch high, a little bit more than a 1/2 inch high, so that when I pressed the window up against there, the window pressed against there fine. Now, you need to know that there's a guide. This screw here goes into a piece of plastic, and about this far in, about 1 inch in, there's a peg that is molded in the rubber work of the glass. If you don't know that, you will likely cut that off when you remove the donor window from the donor car. I've probably done it every time. This time, when I was cutting the glass out, I heard that thing fall. So when I pulled the glass away, I actually seen that I had cut something off. And then when I came to my car and pulled the busted glass out from the car, I was able to pull that peg out and not damage it, so I could see what was going on there. So I'm gonna show you a little clip here of what that peg looks like. So when you're removing this glass, when you're cutting down the rubber seal, stop when you get to this peg, and then come up and stop and cut the gasket around that way. And then when you pull that glass out, it'll save you from having that peg. That peg is an important guide to the alignment of this glass. Now, when I put this glass in, the first time I put it in, I put it up too high. It was pinching the seal on the top. The second time I put it in too far forward. It wasn't aligned properly back. So I had to move this glass around 2 or 3 different times to get it positioned perfect, so that I would likely not have any problems with seal alignment or the door opening and closing. So you want to be aware that on these P80 cars, there's a peg there. I'm not sure if the other vehicles have these pegs or not, but on these P80 cars, they have that peg. Be careful not to cut them off. And those are your cautions. Let's go ahead and show you how I get the window out and get it back in with these other clips. Okay, to get this trim out, after you remove these 2 screws, you grab it and you pull it forward. Let me see if my bone tool will help. Trying to get it, wiggle it forward. See if my screwdriver can help me a little better. Trying to get it to come forward. I'm gonna bump it with this screwdriver. Put my screwdriver here, bumped it a little bit more forward, and it pops right off. It's pretty much the same as getting a windshield out. So when I watched the guy pull a windshield out, he had or electric chisel with like a big long putty knife blade on it. So I have a kind of a spreader putty knife type hammer and some liquid soapy water to try to help it slide in. So I'm gonna go inside and see if I could start working my way around this window to get this thing to break loose. First thing I'm going to do is spray a bunch of water down along the edge of this to try to get it to lubricate that a little bit, so that hopefully the putty knife will go in there when I tap on it and wedge through there with my hammer and spatula. I was able to chisel this window out. As you can see, I went around it from the inside, chiseling, bamming on that with a hammer. It's just a seal. You got to go the whole way around, take your time. Took me about 45 minutes, but I did get it out. Main thing to remember when removing the glass is that you got to totally cut the seal. If you pry this window and try to pry out the end that most people do, you're going to crack it. Be mad at yourself and be looking for another windshield. Now I take the tool that I made, I get as low as I can on that seal, and I pull the tool up with two hands to cut the seal from inside the car across that way. So the screws are normally against the windshield when I pull that thing over, not to scratch and damage the windshield. Just be careful. And then once you got most of the seal cut out, you use the cable method, like a wire, either a windshield removal tool or some throttle body cable wire unthreaded to get the rest of it out. So let me get started. Now I'm gonna press a little bit on the glass, see if I can slide the wire in there, start working the wire around. Okay, I am all the way around. Cleaned up the inside of the pantry a little bit, took a few things out of it, came here, busted the rest of the window out, vacuumed it up, headed back over to the apartment to install the new window. Trying to get the rest of the stuff out of the back of this car so that I could take these panels off and the trim off that I need to get totally at this window access. I got a strap there that I'm going to use to tie something against the window to keep pressure on it while that glue sets. Pop your little light assembly down and unplug it. Push a little tab in with the screwdriver, pull that down, and then unplug the wire for the light assembly. Next, you come over here and get your small screwdriver, pop these two pieces out, and take the bolt out that's under each one of them. You got a T25 under each one of those clips, and you got a T25 under those. Pull those screws out. Now you want to lower this trim in the middle. Be careful not to break it because it's probably fragile, and it's got a couple of clips under it, but you've already removed the two torque screws that was holding it up. So you can see the clips that was holding it on the forward side. Those was plugged into. You might want to pull that forward side down and then work the back side down after that, because the back side has some different metal clips that clip up into the frame of the car. Now that you get everything loose from around the hood liner, except for this piece here, you pull this loose and be careful, and then you just work it down one clip at a time, and it'll come out like that. So be careful you don't break none of the trim pieces when you're working that down on both sides. Have the car cleaned out. Now it's time to cut this seal in here to get this glass remnants out of here. There's a guide in here. Right inside where that screw is, there's a peg there. Don't cut that peg off. You need that as a guide to where your window should be held in. But I cut that off when I took that last window out, so I'm gonna try to get this one off at here and put it on my replacement glass. I'm almost out. Just need to cut down, get this the rest of the way out. This peg is some kind of plastic molded inside the rubber, so that's not something that you can easily replace if you destroy it. So I'm gonna have to fly without this. Gotta try to hold that thing in place long enough for the glass to start setting and not slide around. It don't look like it's something you could get out of here easy. I had to cut the rubber open so it's molded in the rubber. Be extra careful if you're cutting out a broken glass. Don't let that touch your car. Man, that glass is sharp. Scratches your paint real easy. I got a few scratches right there from letting that piece drop down there. Anyway, I shaved all the rubber, the old gasket off that I could with a razor, fresh razor. I'm going to do the same thing to the window I'm about to put in. Then I'm going to clean this with acetone. Got some acetone here. Clean that off with acetone. Then I'm going to caulk it, press the new glass in place, and I'm going to tape it up with the tape that I have onto the glass so that hopefully the glass won't slide down or move. I have my portable vacuum cleaner sucking up glass as I go along, trying to avoid getting glass in my skin. I'm getting ready to cut this extra sealant off of this glass. However, I got to be careful not to cut the rubber off of it. I just want to cut the sealant off of it. So that's kind of tricky, sealant and rubber. I went around the mating area 3 times on the glass and 3 times around here. I see I got a little bit of rust right there. So this, and then these scratches, if I don't get that sealed, that'll probably be a potential rust area too, like that there. So I need to cut my tip, get my caulking gun, caulk this thing up, get my tape ready to tape it on. I got the sealant the whole way around, bead about 1/4 inch high, maybe a little higher. I tried to cut a V in the tip. Got it the whole way around, but man, it was kind of hard to do, tiresome. So I pressed the window in place. It seems like it's in further on the bottom than the other side is, but hey, it is what it is. It's got to be glued in. I might have pushed it in a little further than I maybe should have. The top seems about the same as the other side, or the whole thing is being pulled up just a smidgen. Yeah, I think that's probably what's going on. The thing is up a little higher than it maybe should be. So I'm going to take my strap loose and pull it down a little bit and try to put my strap back on, because I got this just in the glass. The back of it feels fine, but I think I may be a little high on the top on the front side. So I'm going to take that loose, see if I can shift it down just a little bit, put that back on. I want pressure holding it in. That's why I got that strap on there. I'll leave it on there like that all night. I have a problem. When I shine my flashlight behind here, I can see daylight. So I don't have enough caulking up there, or the window didn't sit right. So I need to pull this off, put more caulking up around this top part, and put this thing back on, because this is not going good. Pulling the glass down, I did not have good contact up here. So I re-caulked up there, re-caulked a little around here. I re-caulked the whole way on that front edge and all the way across the top again. So I'm going to press this on here again and place the tape. Got to get good placement and good contact on that glass the whole way around. Glad I double checked it with a flashlight. I thought I was done moving this window around, and then I closed the door and the seal hit these screws. So I don't have that guide pin in here, so you got to be careful setting this up. Make sure that this hump in the body of the car is even with the edge of this if you don't have that guide. So I actually took my pressure loose, slid my window back, and then when I came back here, I seen that my seal is better, in a better position back here than it was. So you got to be careful that you don't put this too far forward. And now when I close my door, it should just barely touch that thing. So when I put my trim there, that seal will hit that trim. And you can see there that the tip of this is almost right. So make sure you have the window slid back far enough. If you don't have that guide, you're kind of guessing. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it like that. That's what I'm gonna go with. I put my light back in there. I still don't see no light coming through, and I got goop in that area. Hopefully I'm good to go. And I'm gonna wrap this up for tonight because ain't much I could do climbing around the car with this pressure stuff on here with this. So I'm gonna have to pick this up tomorrow, hopefully finish the rest of the stuff I got going on. This trim is a little tricky to put in. Alright, so what you want to do, you see it's got catches. It's got a catch there, a catch there, a catch there, a catch there. And those catches catch under this thing here. So you want to go just to the front side of those catches and tuck this under the seal like that, and then try to pop it into the bottom and then push that thing forward to latch it in. That's got catches back there too. I'm going to make sure this thing latches in properly so that you don't have any issues with it hanging out. Make sure this is pressed in there all the way, top and bottom, before you slide it back, or the trim's not going to be locked in right. I had to wet this to get this to pop in here, and when I started this, I'm going to go right about so the edge of this lines up with this edge of this piece right here, and then I'm going to tuck it in, put it down, and slide. Let me try this again. First attempt didn't work. These latches appear to be progressive. This one at the back will latch in first, then that one will begin to latch in, then that one will begin to latch in, and then the front one will begin to latch in, and then you'll latch in the front too. So I'm gonna try to get this to try to work in, but I really think I need to oil this because, man, this thing does not want to slide in. Once I get started, it just grips. I had to put a cloth up here and use a hammer to tap this thing back. It was so tight. Some of them was not so tight, but this one was. Maybe because the trim that pulled out was not the trim that went in. I also think that it's possible that this clip right here didn't catch on the bottom, but it caught on top. And this next one might not have caught at all. I don't know, man. It's hard, but I don't know if I want to pull this thing apart or not. Yeah, I'm going to guess this clip here missed. So I'm going to get some oil and some heat and work with this to get this in right. You beat on it too much, you're going to buckle it. I got a small buckle here, a small buckle here where I tried to tap it in. Then I got a little buckle there where it went behind that clip. I got a little bend there. So it's not imperfection here. Kind of a mess. I don't know if you want to put this on before you glue the window in place or not. That may be the thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and screw this in and leave it like that for now. I don't have a whole lot of time to jerk around with it. Next time I do it, I'm going to get some painter's tape and I'm going to put a little piece of tape everywhere that there's one of those clips, all 4 spots, so that when I go to line this up and put it on there, I'll know where to push while I slide it back. I will also use soapy water to lubricate this thing so that it's nice and wet with a spray bottle, because if not, then you're going to be fighting with it like I was. So I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 screws in here, call this temporarily done for now. And the door closes on the trim good. After you do one of these stationary windows, you should not put any outward pressure on them until the sealant is fully cured. They claim that my sealant, the stuff that I bought, is fully cured in 24 hours, but I want to give it 48 hours. So you want to leave a window or 2 down about 1 inch so that if you open and close the door, you don't put any blowout pressure on that window. So after you believe the window is fully cured, you want to go to a car wash or something and spray it down with water to make sure it doesn't leak. And since I had not put my trim and everything back in there, now's a good time. So I'm not going to get too close to it, but I'm going to get close enough. Now this one here will start with a quarter. So I'm going to put a high pressure rinse on there. I'm going to put a quarter in. That's going to give me 40 seconds of spraying this window. You don't want to do this if you're in freezing temperature. And you want to give yourself about a foot or two away from it, because you don't want to be too close to it to mess up the seal or anything. So I'm going to go around that and I'm going to find out if it's leaking anywhere. So I'll know if it's raining, if there's water going to be getting in there or not. We'll open up the back of the car and see if we got any water leaks. I'm looking in here for any water that got inside, and I don't see any dripping in here. So I should be good to go. All the water is still on the outside. Now I could come in here in 10 minutes and check again just to make sure. All of that looks good. You can also take a paper towel and dab it around in here to see if you get any moisture on a paper towel. That'll tell you for sure. I'm still not totally cured because I still got some softness here in this sealing. So I may want to let that cure for 3 days. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.